for as fast as my internet is now, by the way, which is awesome. There's still some things that could be working better. Like Instagram connecting, for example. But also that was one of the things I was working on was checking out some of our other destinations, because apparently I need to do that too every day. I can't rely on the destinations themselves to check the content of our stream and then give us a call. No, I have to do that. So my internet radio software says we are live to all networks, including Atlanta. Moment of truth, people. Including Atlanta. All right, there we go. I heard it say including Atlanta. That's all I need. All right, today we're translating Trump, and as I alluded to in the quick title of today's show, we're talking about liquor cabinets and cabinets that are just in general smart. And then again, those who are not. To help us with that every Wednesday, we have Philip Brackett.
How's it going?
You got like an echo. You got something else playing in the background?
It shouldn't be.
No, that sounds better. Oh, it's going. It's going, but
I was wondering if you were going to change the background from Ukraine flag to
well, I still do
Greenland.
that to all the Trumpers.
I thought you were going to put it to Greenland or Panama or something like that. You know,
to support them or say that we want to make them part of our country. What would be?
I mean, to be part of our country, that sounds supportive.
I don't think they want any part of this right now. How about you? How's your week going? You got a countdown started?
It's been good. Just a new year and that sort of thing. Looking forward to it. Countdown for, I'm assuming you and I are both on the countdown for Monday. Right?
Yeah. And that's when I start my 48-month long countdown.
It may be longer. We don't know.
It can't be. And that's the point. And I've been saying this since 2017. This guy wants a third term. And he's not joking about it. Like I told you that story about the uniform services ball, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I ran into my counterpart and I asked him about this, whatever crazy ass thing the Trump administration did,
mm-hmm.
he says to me, the Trump staffer that I worked with at the uniform services ball says to me, "You think that's crazy? Wait till you see us in our second and third term." And I'm like, I've got a degree in constitutional law.
Mm-hmm.
And I seem to remember that being an issue somewhere. When someone ran for a fourth term,
Mm-hmm.
FDR,
Mm-hmm.
and that scared the hell out of people. And as a result, we now have, what is it, the 27th Amendment? Is the one that prohibits is the term limits for the president.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, you just said that with a straight face. And, being a poker player myself,
Mm-hmm.
being a federal agent at the time,
Mm-hmm.
being a card-carrying member of the gay community,
Mm-hmm.
and now, not then, but now, being a dad, I think I'm a pretty good BS detector.
I was wondering where you're going with this.
He was not BSing when he said third term. And I'm just like, tell me how this doesn't worry or piss anybody off.
Well,
But give that time, we'll see.
let's focus on the second term first, okay? Before we're saying any thought of a third term.
And to wrap that part up, the good news is the only one really talking about it on his side is Steve Bannon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we know that person's a little less than reliable, or
His
perhaps
credibility score may be different from others. I get it.
wavering, especially now. Anything you want to say about the pissing match between him and Elon Musk? Where are you on that side? Where are you falling there?
Listen, I think both of them were very instrumental working together to get Trump elected.
But that ain't happening now.
What's happening now?
Well, Musk wants to get rid of the M1A, I think it is, visas, which is essentially what allows foreign workers, Mexicans, in to do labor positions like construction, work in fields and agriculture, jobs white guys never wanted, and black guys fought like hell to get rid of in the first place. And that's a Ralphie May joke. He's in Orange County, California, and this lady just stands up in the audience and says, "We got to get rid of all the Mexicans." And he goes into this thing about how they work in the fields at like the local vineyards out there, not too far from Kendall Jackson, among others. And I see them in my hometown in orchards every fall. Never see any of them anywhere else. It's just they're here when you need them, going somewhere else, doing whatever. And when he's arguing with this lady, who's essentially heckling, he convinces her that, okay, we can't get rid of the Mexican people. We need them in the fields. But she is actually not convinced. And he says, well, if we get rid of all them, who are you going to get to work in the fields? Because he points out her son, who looked like a little baby Justin Bieber. And he says, no offense, man, but this kid ain't never seen a good day of work in his life. Who are you going to get? And then she goes, we'll have black people do it. And 3 black guys about 6 rows back just stand up. And if you don't know Ralphie May, he unfortunately passed away because of health issues, was a very large man, grew up in a very black community. His skit kind of comes off, if you just heard him, you might think he's got the African-American mannerisms. And these 3 black guys get up. He just puts his hand out to him and says, hold on, player, I got this. And he goes, black people worked for how long to get out of the fields? You want to send them back in? And the black people just start like whooping it up and cheer and laugh. But Musk is for eliminating that visa. And or I think he's for it, and Bannon and company are against it. Point being, there is now a civil war within the MAGA community. One wants to get rid of all Mexicans, to include those with that visa. And the others are saying, well, hey, if we do that, then we got to work. We don't like that idea. So,
I don't know. Like,
and I'll Google it quick.
I guess while you Google it, I guess what's going on in my head, Ross, is just, hey, can we at least get to Monday? I'm sure there's a book's worth of executive orders that President Trump is going to do the first day.
I heard that actually. It's already like 90.
Yeah, right. And then two, I'm thinking to myself, okay, once in office, look, what are top priorities that he talked about during the election? And I don't think that the HN1 visas was a top one. I think it was probably more so how do
I
we
think
tackle.
HN1 is the virus.
Oh, I was about to say, like when you start doing the letters and the numbers, I was like, okay,
Yeah,
this might
I
get
know.
iffy here. Okay, the
I know.
immigrant visas, right? Whatever Musk is
Yes,
talking about, right?
right.
I
That one.
don't think
Yeah.
that was on like the short order of things to do within the first 90 days. I think one was how do we tackle illegal immigration? And in particular, first things first, something that I think we have more universal acceptance of among our country. Let's get the illegals that are criminals out, the ones that are doing harm, right?
Yeah.
Let's take care of that first, actually execute on that. And then later on, once we kind of take care of that, figure out what we do with the ones that are not criminals that are here. Do we do a pathway to citizenship? Do we still let them go back to their countries? Once we figure out that question and actually do what we said we were going to do during an election, then we can say, hey, Elon, okay, let's have a conversation about the visas. What do we do here? But I don't know. I think for me, it's not coming up as a pressing issue about what he's thinking. Because, of course, you're going to have people that have different opinions within the MAGA community, right? Our first order of business was let's get Trump in office first, and then we'll
That's
figure out
happening.
everything else later.
That's happening. Yeah, he's coming. Wednesday or Monday's the day.
Monday. It's only a few
So
days
here's one of
away.
them. Trump sides with Elon Musk
Okay.
in H-1B visa debate.
Okay.
Says he's always been in favor of the program. President-elect Donald Trump on Saturday sided with key supporter and billionaire tech CEO Elon Musk in a public dispute over the use of the H-1B visa, saying he fully backs the program for foreign tech workers opposed by some of his supporters. So maybe Musk is for the visa? Trump's remarks followed a series of social media posts from Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, who vowed late Friday to go to war to defend the visa program for foreign tech workers. Okay, so Musk is for it.
Mm-hmm.
Bannon and company, and we'll call them the hardliners, are against it.
So, and when you say for it, you're meaning keeping the visas intact the way it is.
Correct. And as such, allowing foreign employees of companies in to work on that visa.
Okay.
It's a work visa.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I think we're still quoting Trump. I've been a believer in H-1B. I've used it many times. It's a great program. Musk, a naturalized U.S.-born citizen from South Africa, has held an H-1B visa, and his electric car company Tesla obtained 724 of the visas this year.
Mm-hmm.
H-1B visas are typically for 3-year periods. I think. Oh, no, it's not the same thing. Okay. I was going to say this sounds like a green card,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. And here we go. H-1B visas are typically for 3 years, though holders can extend them
Mm-hmm.
or apply for green cards.
Okay.
So that is also a work visa. I just wonder if perhaps that's for a longer period of time. The green card.
Yeah,
The altercation
probably.
was set off earlier this week by far-right activists who criticized Trump's selection of Sriram Krishnan, an Indian-American venture capitalist, to be an advisor on artificial intelligence, saying he would influence on Trump administration's immigration policies. Yeah. I mean, like Musk doesn't? Okay. So, I mean, I get it. And something I can agree with is to get rid of those that are actual criminal activity first. But one of the things we got to pull back on is this. Oh, they're all coming across the border. Well, if you know they're coming across the border and they're arrested in the process of trying to come across the border, and in the border we mean on land between U.S. and Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
If they're arrested, while trying to come across that border, that sounds pretty secure to me. You got them.
Mm-hmm.
So ones that you didn't get that we got to worry about. If you didn't get them, then you probably because you didn't know it. So how do you know how secure the border is? Like we say in the intelligence community, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, we on our Friday show, I think we're all in consensus that, especially now that he's walked back his pledge to lower prices of groceries and gas, his farther right ideals, the political scientist in me says that can't be the priority until additional strength is built.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a good majority in the House.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a good majority in the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he didn't win with a good majority in the election.
But we won.
I know that mathematically he had a substantial lead in the Electoral College.
Mm-hmm.
True. Agreed. The numbers don't lie. But the numbers don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
He had virtually the same amount of votes in the popular that what he did in 2020 when he lost.
Which I'm still trying to figure out what happened to those missing Biden voters from there, but that's a whole nother story.
They disenfranchised with, we've all talked about that. Jane and I on Monday, you and I less so, and we beat it to death on the Friday show. It wasn't so much that Trump won in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
so much as it was that Kamala lost.
Mm-hmm.
When you compare her to Hillary and Biden, she came in third.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just such, I got it. I know what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I can Forrest Gump this. We are smart men.
Does that make you Gen A?
Well, I mean, I got the hair for it. So I as I sit back and why the expansion that we're going through with other networks and new affiliates every week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's a little aggressive. I'd say we get new affiliates coming every month.
Does that mean, like, is your hair going to get longer, Ross, or is it more so you might do something different with the hairstyle? Might go for like I don't know, like a Pete Hegseth look, kind of slick back.
Oh, I had that. That's why I'm growing it out. I've had that look for 21 years in the Secret Service.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, as a police officer and a baseball umpire and hockey referee, the longest until now that I've ever had my hair was one hockey season that I let the back grow and grow and grow until by the end of the hockey season, it was long enough to put into curls. It was still short on top.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had my baseball hat umpiring, while I was umpiring, they're still short on the sides. Sideburns weren't a thing then for most guys. It was cut off at the top of the ear. But the back, had long, and I actually had in curlers. I had a perm with the back, the back curls. And there was an umpire named Joe Brinkman in the major leagues who made that look popular. And that was the longest, because of occupational reasons, that's the longest I ever had my hair.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, I could have grown it out, and my baseball or hockey supervisors wouldn't have said anything. But I was aspiring to be in either Major League Baseball or the National Hockey League. So I was already living that life.
Mm-hmm.
And Travis Green checking in says, good morning. Great show last night. The Point with Travis Green and his panel that joins him every week, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook. We are working towards getting him on Yerg's Radio for every Tuesday evening. But this is without question. And in fact, I was thinking about how much I have not been in the gym in almost 2 years. I got this cut January 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, up to the neck. And why my lengths are so, there's like a portion that's much longer than everybody else, everything else. That's my bangs. Because I went back to a haircut. That's actually my headshot. If you see the headshot that was on Yerg's Radio, it's down right now, but it's on Ross Yerger. We can put our names up. I didn't do that. It's on my Facebook page, Ross Yerger. Those bangs go all the way back to touch my neck.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the sides of my heads are shaved.
Mm.
It's been so long since I've been at the gym till a couple months ago when I actually, because of Helene, we had to do some shows from the gym because I had no internet here.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I'm helping my gym owner, who's one of our sponsors, Momentum Fitness and Wellness, start a podcast with his brother where they're talking about, fitness and working out and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been so long. He had no idea that I had cut my hair in January of 2023. And now it's back to being long again. And he never knew it.
Mm-hmm.
So, there will be no Hegseth. Certainly, I've got a wave up in the front there.
Mm-hmm.
With the headphones and such. I could probably do my own Donald, like Benny Johnson, who's also down here in Tampa, does. What are you trying to?
I was working on the hand motions. Just make sure you don't do anything with the mic. Leave that alone, please. Especially on the air.
Was that a? I get that joke. When he started demonstrating on stage for everybody.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Nope. No, not at all.
That was. I would say that was weird, but for him, it's just like another day on the air. So we got you here to translate. We talked about H-1B already.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're not going to say anything bad because you're part of the team and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll ask, why are you for Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary? What is it about him that you like?
So I was actually reading up on how the hearing went, and
a little bit of fire. Not much of a shock.
Did he have some courage under fire here? How did he handle himself?
No. He and Tim Kaine got into it.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And
kind of below the belt from a former VP candidate here, maybe?
No, I mean he's going after, and I agree with it. How can you vow to remain loyal to somebody or to something or to a concept like marriage,
and
then go cheat 5 times? What kind of oath are you taking?
I mean, I think Pete handled it better than I probably would have, because I would said something along the lines of, Tim, the road that you're starting to travel on, it goes both ways, sir. We're not perfect.
You thinking Kane is cheating? No. Or are you referring to the pictures of him?
Not at all. What I am referring to is, here's kind of my issue with confirmation hearings, whether it's cabinet or Supreme Court picks or anything of the like. it seems like these are the occasions where the most mudslinging happens. Somebody is coming in because that's part of the process. You got to take questions. So you're thinking you're going to answer questions about your suitability to do the job well, right? Like it's a huge glorified interview, right? Multiple people can ask you questions, publicized, televised, right? You're coming in to answer questions on why you feel like you're the best person to do the job, right? And for some reason, it seems like the party in opposition, notice I said party in opposition, not Democrats, right?
Right.
You always have a few people that take it upon themselves to say, hey, how much mud can I bring up and shove in that person's face and have the whole nation judge him for it or her for it? And see if I can rattle that person enough to say something that would completely disqualify it. And I think this was one of those occasions. And honestly, it was one of those ones that make you say, yeah, this is the cringe I'm feeling about politics today. Everyone wants their 15 seconds of fame, trying to take somebody else down. But nevertheless, Tim, you're not perfect either. And you're not setting a good example for other people, especially for that matter.
Well, I mean, you've got to be able to ask hard questions.
Of course.
And infidelity is about character. And when you're leading the largest army in history with an $800 billion budget, that's a lot of free lunches.
Yeah. I'm just thinking in terms of, to your point, Ross, because of how huge an organization is, you only have so much time to question the person that's up for that job. Is that question or that series of questions really the top priority of the type of questions you should ask? And if it is, let it be so. I'm just thinking to myself, okay, if you're going to be in charge of our nation's defense, if we're going to go across things as far as like, strength by, how big our defense system is, how we need to modernize it, how we're going to fund it, where are we going to put our people at, in which countries, and what type of engagements and that sort of thing. Like any one of those topics, I probably would have focused a little more attention on than somebody's personal peccadillos. Which, yes, it may warrant something about someone's character. I get it. I just don't know if that's what the American people are most concerned about for someone that's going to lead the world's largest defense system.
Well, I can actually answer that. Each senator, when they pose their questions, they're limited in time as to how much they can do. So not everybody's going to get to the chance to ask all the questions that they want to know. So what each side does, Republican and Democrat, they get together first and strategize.
Right. They're bad apples in each one. You and I agree.
Senator Phil is going to do these questions during his time. So I don't have to.
Right. That frees you up.
These questions, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why Tim Kaine was chosen to ask the questions that he did.
Yeah.
That was the Democratic Party as a whole, or what was it? Is it the Defense Appropriations Committee or whatever committee it is that does the SecDef confirmation? And that's another thing, is that there's like 3 other hearings going on right now.
Yeah, I think the AG one is going on now too, right?
Marco Rubio for Secretary of State.
Yep.
AG,
General.
the CIA. I think all 3 of them are happening as we speak. So the one that, I make the jokes about seeing smarter cabinets at IKEA and less alcohol in a liquor cabinet.
Was that an allusion to presidential cabinets, Ross? Was that what kind of like a implicit jab right there? Was that what you were going for? Maybe I missed that one.
That was an allusion to this presidential cabinet.
Oh, the current one that's still in for another 5 days?
No, the one that's coming in, knucklehead.
You said the current, so I'm thinking the one that's currently for another 5 days.
No, the current one that's in the news right now every day. The other cabinet, nobody's heard from Pete Buttigieg in a little while.
What is he up to now?
In company. But yeah, I poked at fun at them. But my own analysis so far, his new attorney general pick once
better than Gates?
Yeah. Once Gates finally get out of the way. She might actually be, I mean, look, they're all going to be MAGA. We've got to accept that too. This guy's not going to be like Obama, who brought in a Republican Secretary of Defense. So we've got to accept that. But I think the DCI, which is Director of Central Intelligence, is actually a good choice, because the last time around, he was the DCI's boss. The intelligence czar.
So it sounds like a step down almost.
Yeah. And that's why I never liked the intelligence, whatever it is, intelligence czar, Director of National Intelligence, something like it, because that's what the DCI was. The Director of Central Intelligence was the head of our nation's intelligence community. But it was because of the pissing match that they always would get in between the Bureau and the agency at the boss level. I'll tell you for free, I worked with both of them, the FBI and the CIA, during my career. That's some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. And the CIA wants the people in the streets, the people on the ground, want the FBI to do the press conferences. Because the CIA works better when nobody knows they're there. Yeah, if you've seen Argo with Ben Affleck and Bryan Cranston, Bryan Cranston plays Ben Affleck's boss, and he's about to get the whatever it is, like the Congressional Medal of Honor for members of the intelligence community. Like the Presidential Medal of Freedom is for civilians. There's I think like Distinguished Star or something like that.
Okay.
That, I mean, even the ceremony and the award itself is classified. The ceremony is in a basement with no windows. And then you don't get to keep the award. And Tony Mendez is the real life character that was in the story Argo, played by Ben Affleck. And he says to Cranston's character, he says, "You mean you're going to give me an award and then take it right back?" And Cranston says, "Yeah. If we would have wanted applause, we'd have joined another circus." As opposed to the one that they're in. So yeah, I the DNI guy I like. The Attorney General I'm now liking.
Tulsi?
I'm saying Hegseth can grow on me.
Like your hair.
I yeah. Is that what you said? Like my hair? Yeah. He can grow on me. My question is, if you denied when your mom wrote an email accusing you of treating women badly, and you denied that, then why are you praising your current wife for helping you find Jesus and straightening you out? If you're denying the accusations from your mom, what are you admitting to by finding Jesus?
Could finding Jesus for him happen after those incidents that he's denying, or?
So he's lying then about the denial. Denial itself is a lie. We all need to admit that.
Yeah, we said in previous shows, Ross, like whether you're on the left or the right, lying is bad.
Oh yeah, but I mean, yeah, and in one of them, I don't know if it was actually part of his testimony,
Mm-hmm.
but many of the articles that I've got tagged up here in the different tabs on another screen,
Mm-hmm.
his quote was, "I was effed up,"
Mm-hmm.
meaning his lifestyle, his mentality, what he thought was okay.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a
He was an
testimony brewing. Yep.
person. So, mom's email does have some validity to it. I mean, that's all I think. If he were to say that in his testimony, that is a confession of a leader. Constantly denying or deflecting,
Mm-hmm.
like Trump is so well known for. This would be a fresh look that could get my vote. And that was the other thing that I wanted to. I wish Speaker Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the guy's name. Oh no, it's not the guy from Florida because he barely. It's not. Who's the head of the Senate now? The majority leader
Oh,
in the Senate.
Thune,
Yes.
John Thune. Yeah.
Yeah. And President elect, soon to be President Trump himself, would all just say, you know what? Vote your conscience. Don't vote down party lines. We got this. We know that my nominees are worth your vote. So I'm not going to try to muscle you into voting for somebody that I know is going to win. And then maybe we would get some Democrats being willing to be supportive,
Mm-hmm.
or some Republicans not afraid to push back.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the other thing. I'm learning to better collate things during the course of my day
Okay.
by texting a link to myself. But that was one of the other stories that I saw, was that a lot of the congressional Republicans don't like Hegseth.
Mm-hmm. Was this
There's-
before or after his
Now,
hearing?
no,
After his hearing. Okay.
now. I don't remember exactly when I saw the article, so I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it was before, after, during. I don't know. But they're afraid to say it. And in the house, when your term is only 2 years anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is it 2?
Yeah. Yep. Every 2 years in the Congress, you have to run again for your seat.
Yeah, every federal election, the entire House of Representatives runs again.
Mm-hmm. So are you making the decision based off of what's right for your conscience, best for your constituency,
Or if
or
you want
best for
another
you?
job,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Best for you to keep your job. You know,
Yeah,
I get
members
it.
of the House of Representatives serve 2-year terms and are considered for reelection every
2
even
years.
year. So, I mean, every 2 years, the entire House of Representatives, that seems like,
Mm-hmm. It's big.
that seems like, that just seems like, is it any wonder they don't know who's going to lead them? Because they spend the first 18 months trying to figure that out. But so I think I cut you off. I'm not sure if you fully answered. What are your thoughts on Hegseth? If you're let's call you an independent senator on the committee,
Mm-hmm.
or an independent member of the Senate, which way do you vote and why?
So I think what goes in my head is, one, Biden's gonna be out in 5 days. I'm assuming that when he goes, his cabinet goes too, right?
Yeah, there's nobody staying.
Right. So
And that's
that
not
me
necessarily on them. I think that's more Trump than
okay.
anything.
That sounds like, to me, I'm not too aware of how all this logistics works, but that sounds like you're gonna have a vacant Department of Defense head. at that point? So who's going to run the show to keep us protected? Right.
I can
So,
answer that.
hmm?
The civil servant positions that Elon Musk wants to fire.
Oh, Doge. Okay.
Yeah, and Marge, Doge and Marge.
Marge Simpson. Oh goodness.
Yeah,
So if I'm an independent senator, just kind of playing this hypothetical situation out for you, Ross, I'm thinking to myself, okay, yes, I will want the best person possible, depending on what we say is our actual agreed upon criteria. At the same time, this is one of those positions that we can't really afford to keep vacant very long after January 20th, right? We don't want to show weakness here. Morning, Ken. Um, I think that with Pete, I like the vision. I think that having a strong defense deters threats from others. I like where he's going with a focus on, you know, not so much as far as like trying to strip out wokeness and DEI, that sort of thing, but more so is like, how do we have the best defense possible and not let anything be an excuse for us not to have it? Right. Yes, I understand that he has some public sins of his, right?
yeah,
That can have people question it. We also have a president that's coming in that clearly has some public sins about him that wasn't enough for the majority of Americans to vote him in. That wasn't enough for them to say, nope, we don't want him in, because maybe he had a better plan than the opposition as far as where to lead the nation forward. So I would take something similar to say, hey, listen, everything else aside, do I agree with his vision for the Department of Defense? And I think from what I've seen thus far with the hearing, how he conducted himself in the midst of fire from the opposition, sticking with his vision for the Department of Defense, and how he's been to some degree humble about the fact that, yeah, he's messed up and he's trying to get right. And his wife has played a role with it. Jesus has played a role with it. Unless you show me a better alternative at this point, given the timing, I will lean towards saying, hey, I give Pete a shot.
but like, for example, Blake Fisher from the Homeless Conservative on our Friday show,
Mm-hmm.
he is of the opinion that unless there's something, and I'm paraphrasing, so if I get any of this a little off, forgive me,
Mm-hmm.
but unless there really is something criminal
Mm-hmm.
that absolutely prohibits
Mm-hmm.
the nominee, you should just rubber stamp a president's nominee.
Like
And
that's under the assumption that you believe that the president coming in, the president elect, they went through their own search process and you
yeah,
trust their judgment that of the candidates that was up there, this is truly the best pick, right?
yeah, I want to still have all of this operating in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
When a Democrat wins,
When or if? That's an
when
important use of words.
for the purpose of this, it would need to be when, or we got to possibly 8 years, and hold him to those words,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I think that? Well, just last year, the three of us got into an argument, me, Matt, and Blake.
Mm-hmm.
They say that you're just voting for the president. I said, no, you're voting for the president and everybody down the line.
His picks, yeah.
Yeah, because you're voting for him. A part of his responsibility is to fill that cabinet
Yep.
with people that are hopefully not going to be just yes men or women, but true advisors.
Mm-hmm.
They said no, confirmation hearings and special elections when necessary, like I think it was Agnew, Ford, you know, not whoever was it before Gerald Ford,
Oh.
because Ford came from the Senate when that VP resigned,
Mm-hmm.
and then Nixon resigned, elevating Ford to the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
The only president in our history to never be elected to that post.
Mm-hmm.
He was elected to the Senate, but not to the White House. So they're saying is, you know, in the one hand, point being, Blake contradicted himself. He said, "No, you're only voting for president or vice president."
Uh-oh. Did Ken point it out to him too?
I probably, but I jumped on it, and Matt just sat back. I could read Matt easily. He just sat back because he'll remember that he was on Blake's side in that argument, and this is why I think I was going to bring it up earlier today. There needs to be a longer period for confirmation.
Okay.
So there can be a deeper dive, to use today's buzzwords,
Mm-hmm.
into each nominee.
Mm-hmm. Now, would
And
you
you're
have that extend from the current date it starts to beyond inauguration, or would you have it start earlier?
The entire cabinet isn't legally in place by inauguration day.
Mm-hmm. But I would imagine they probably prioritize certain positions over others to get taken care of.
Sure, absolutely. That's why defense has already gone. And I think this deals with their schedules too, on somewhat. But I mean, what else you got going on when you're being nominated to the president's cabinet?
Mm-hmm. Everything else takes a back seat at that point.
You know, those big three are this week:
Mm-hmm.
defense, state, justice, CIA.
AG.
And the others will be close behind. I agree with Blake that because they're added in hierarchy in order in which they were added to the cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be a reevaluation of who really needs to be next in line. And because, I mean, Homeland Security is at the bottom. No. Housing and urban development can be at the bottom. Education could be at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they want to get rid of it anyway.
Or get rid of, yeah, one of the two.
Yeah, now there's too many programs that I think they're going to see are important that are going to go away if they get rid of the Federal Department of Education.
Mm-hmm.
And states will be begging for something from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Tag Seth will be in. The time we got left. We're going to remind everybody, if we do run a little bit over today, we will be losing you on 99.1 WDJY in Atlanta, America One Radio in Atlanta, WZQR in Pineland, Florida. You are all welcome to join us on Yerg's Radio. Go to yergsradio.com or anywhere else, I think with the exception of TuneIn, because that's like $250 a month to host a radio station there. Pretty much anywhere else you get your internet radio, just search Yerg's, Yergz, radio, or go to yergsradio.com and listen that way. Because I think we'll go probably a little bit more than the remaining 3 minutes. But the AG pick, she comes from here where you and I are at, here in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They're replacing Matt Gaetz as the original nominee.
Mm-hmm.
An actual attorney general, an actual prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a refreshing
experience.
Yeah, refreshing concept. Do you think she has enough?
What would you think is missing?
Gray hair.
Oh. Well,
And no,
how do we know she doesn't already dye her hair blonde to match the gray hair?
I'm looking that up as we speak.
Because it sounds like it's a stressful job, Ross. Like, I wouldn't put it. I got gray hairs and I'm 40. So I can only imagine, maybe that might be the case. She might have some gray hairs.
She began her hearing 2 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
She's being grilled on the 2020 election result.
That definitely sounds like something coming from the Republican side.
You think so? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Like what? Wow. Yeah. And my buddy's back in the news too.
Which one?
Governor DeSantis holds a live news conference.
Is he giving a tutorial on how to handle um, statewide disasters and emergencies,
God, I hope not.
given recent current events on the West Side?
Yeah, I would say Gavin Newsom kicked your ass in the debate. He'll kick your ass in the handling of this too. I'm still waiting.
That's not what I'm hearing, though.
That man stood. He is all this. That man stood in, and I'm referring to the governor, DeSantis.
Our governor.
Yeah. I'm only admitting it because of the boundaries that I'm in. So 99.1 WDJY, America One Radio, and WZQR, ZQR Talks. We'll see all three of you tomorrow, or you can continue with us on yergsradio.com as we get ready to say goodbye to each of you for the day. But yeah, DeSantis stood in my driveway when I gave him and Sheriff Nacco, Chris Nacco, I think it is Chris. I keep thinking Chris Noth. That's Mr. Big from Sex and the City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Nacco. I gave them a tour of my property. I put my foot up against the wall on this corner of the building, that far off the ground, and said, that was Hurricane Idalia. I said, now come around here to the corner. And I showed them another part of the wall where 4 feet up the wall was a mud line.
Jeez.
I said, that was Hurricane Helene. And they both go, oh, wow. DeSantis stood in my driveway in front of witnesses and said, help is on the way. That was the last time I heard from the state of Florida. So when you see stories about North Carolina standing there going like this, wait a minute, you're not finished here. Florida's standing here, been standing here going like this, wait a minute. You left here a little prematurely. But yeah, back to, and then we'll wrap up for the day. Pam Bondi, according to the Wall Street Journal, Democrats question Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi's ability to say no to Trump. I mean, that's what we were just talking about.
That definitely sounds like someone from the Republican side as well. I can almost tell you, it seems like I can almost tell you the whole Democrat playbook at this point. Goodness, so obvious.
Yeah. But is it obvious because that's the politics, or is it obvious because those are the issues with the nominees?
I guess what's going on in my head is there is already a sense of skepticism, and that's putting it lightly, from the other side as far as like whether these candidates are actually the right fits.
Which is why I said for all leaders of all three bodies, vote your conscience. Go.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just got a news alert. Wall Street Journal: Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire deal, opening a pathway to end the 15-month war in the Gaza Strip. Now, is that going to go down as Biden's win or President-elect's win?
I know who's going to claim it.
Coincidentally, 5 days before you exit, and somebody else comes in.
Well, I mean, he's been working on that for a while.
Okay, but it didn't
But
cross
the
the
other
goal line
argument
until.
that doesn't matter. He's still the president. Lame duck president or president, he's still the president. But what Trump has in his favor
Mhm.
is the statement he made saying, hey, you better square this away or there's going to be hell to pay.
Mhm.
In as many words, whatever he actually said.
Because didn't he say something along the lines of get it squared away by the time I get inaugurated?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he put a deadline on it too.
Yeah. But just because that deadline has been met,
Mhm.
I
It
don't
seems like
necessarily mean
he
that it's
followed
because
through
of
on
him.
what he said he was gonna do.
Well, I mean, he's still a private citizen. Point,
Not
point,
not
point,
just any private citizen.
but a private citizen. So, and that's something that's it's not legal for you to go setting up meetings with other world leaders,
Mhm.
which he did before he was running for re-election.
Mhm.
And oddly enough, it was some guy named Putin.
Mhm.
And then didn't we talk about Russian collusion or something like that? Hello. Anyway, Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi told, and I don't have a membership to the Wall Street Journal, so I'm going to be cut off at the end of this paragraph.
Mhm.
Pam Bondi told senators she would end the weaponization, in quotes, of the Justice Department if confirmed as Donald Trump's attorney general,
Mhm.
echoing the incoming president's complaints about the agency she could soon oversee. And I got the first line of the next. I will fight every day to restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice. Okay, we talk about weaponization.
Mhm.
Why were we investigating Hunter Biden? I've done investigations on laptops and with illegal guns. Do you know how many of my investigations made the newspaper, let alone national TV?
Is it because you're
Yeah.
just a private citizen, Ross?
So is Hunter Biden. So when we talk about weaponization,
Mhm.
this is one of the many things that we talked about before that goes two ways.
I think you and I will both agree, Ross. Like, hey, let's just come up with something consistent and judge each person on both sides on the same level, whether
Which
weaponization
is,
is used or not.
yeah, which is why I disagree with Blake on the validity and the legality of special prosecutors.
Mhm.
I think it was right to bring in um, Starr to investigate Clinton.
Star Jones?
No, Ken Starr. Starr Jones, yeah. And Jack Smith to
Mhm.
investigate Trump to avoid. You know what? Let's say Biden and Smith met at a bar and said, "Yeah, go get him, buddy.
Mhm.
Everything's out. I have on my phone 178 pages, I think it is, which is volume 1 of Smith's report.
Mhm.
Volume 2 is classified.
Oh goodness.
And apparently that's the juicy stuff. I already read through volume 1. And I'm thinking maybe this should have been released before November 5th. Have you seen it yet?
Of course not. I'm not that privileged.
No, it's public information. You can
Oh, I thought you were saying like, hey, it's behind a
no
paywall or
volume
behind
2.
closed doors.
No, volume 2 is the one that's classified. It's
Okay.
not behind paywalls. It's not
No, I
electronic.
haven't seen it then. No.
That's eyes only. Volume 1 is public
Mhm.
information,
Gotcha. No, I have not seen volume 1.
and that's the weaker one,
Mm.
supposedly. Like, okay. So, to wrap up, and I'm still Pam Bondi. Yes or no? And what do you like about her or dislike about her?
Once again, compared to the alternative we had before,
You mean the Trump appointee that's in there now?
I was thinking
Garland.
compared to Gates, right?
Oh, okay.
I
Because I was going to say,
wholeheartedly am more
Garland. Yeah, yeah.
I
You and I definitely agree.
wholeheartedly am more in favor of Bondi. Like I said,
Yeah.
like my argument was I think this was a strategy to put out Gates to see if you can actually get it through, but you already knew you had a more proven, safer bet in the weights just in case. And I think this is what
Why?
Bondi is.
You said that before.
Mm-hmm.
Then why would you want Gates in there in the first place?
To see if you possibly can get it through. It's one of those like, hey, I don't know if it's gonna make it or not, but shoot, let's just try it. Like maybe just off the momentum of us winning, maybe we could get this through. How crazy would it be?
Mhm.
And then you tried it, it didn't pan out. Okay, let's get more serious now. Okay,
Okay, but
here
what
you
if it
go.
worked?
That's the thing. What if it did? If you
Yeah.
didn't have the report come out as far as the ethics committee, you didn't have so much back and forth. If you actually got away with getting them in, oh,
Yeah.
what a day. Wouldn't that be interesting?
But now he's got to find a reason to fire this guy if he doesn't want him around anymore
Mm-hmm.
to have. And that's the biggest thing that
I told you, this is why Netflix, if you're listening, please, another season of House of Cards, please.
yeah.
Like there had to be a conversation where that question came up. It's like, really? We're gonna put Gates up and you have Bondi in the wings? What was the rationale set in that smoky room parfait?
Oh.
Oh, it cut off.
It,
The copyright get you real quick. They cut this
no,
song off
this alarm does that. Are you hearing it?
very faintly now, but when you first did it, I could hear it much better.
Can you make it out? Do you know what it is?
House of Cards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the alarm. That's when it's time to eat lunch.
Oh, you actually have it as an alarm. Nice.
Yeah, that's the alarm. It just went off. It's
I'm
12:10.
telling you, like, dude, that's that's what's interesting more so to me. It's just like in the strategy room, in the cigar room, in the limos in the back. Like you're privy to a lot of this from your past experience. Like, what was that like when those conversations were being had? Like, how did the president really feel behind closed doors?
I was driving Secretary of the Treasury, Steve Mnuchin,
Mm-hmm.
when he got a call from the president. And we were in Beverly Hills. He was shopping for something for his wife or for his daughter or something. And we parked and I had to get out and stand on the sidewalk because even with a top secret security clearance, for reasons just like that, I couldn't hear the conversation.
Oh, to be an earpiece on that phone.
Yeah.
If the
There
walls
were
could
some things
talk.
I will, I would normally not comment on things of that nature
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that I have a security clearance,
Mm-hmm.
and the only reason I got that information was because I was in a privileged position. But what worries me being a crypto investor, and I've noticed that the only member of Trump 1.0 that made it all 4 years
Mm-hmm.
was Mnuchin.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in it this time around.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if this is really a change in policy, because I heard Mnuchin say, I will end Bitcoin.
Oh,
And now all of a sudden, who's the one that's for it?
the new guy.
So was this always Trump's policy? And he just didn't know his Secretary of the Treasury wasn't for it?
Mm-hmm.
Or has Trump really come around? Maybe perhaps because of the influence of a certain
Crypto.
Bitcoin miner and fan, or is he really seeing the opportunity to hedge against our own inflation by buying up as much Bitcoin as possible? I don't know if this is from the management team of MI6, but M says there are millions of Americans who have never voted for a convicted felon who is out on bail for $200,000 and was found liable for sexual abuse and business fraud. Yeah, the guys last night, Travis Green and company, said that if he would have done any of some of his shenanigans in Fulton County,
Mm-hmm.
they would have violated his bail on the spot and called him in and be held. That's just how Fulton County is.
Mm-hmm.
And Fannie Willis was a victim of politics more than anything. All right. I'm rambled on long enough. You get the last word.
Time for you to get some lunch, Ross. You heard
Somebody's
the sound.
walking in the driveway.
Is it delivery again?
No. My next door neighbor is getting his house worked on. I'm waiting on a bunch of things.
I can see.
There is a delivery, though. Who's that? Penske truck coming in. All right. Anybody in the cabinet that you've seen so far that you don't think makes it, or that you don't want to see make it?
Oh, I'd had to take that as homework for next week.
All right.
Do some thinking on that one.
Well, if we get to it, because I know next week you're either going to be still drunk from Monday or still
It's a
dancing.
new day, America. It's
Yeah.
a new day.
Yeah. Travis, if you're still watching, this was the guy I was telling you about.
Ah.
I would like to. I seriously think you're an articulate person, and you don't need my hand to hold you every week like we're doing now. Not that I'm holding your hand, and that's my point. I think you would do well with a show of your own, some type of like podcast that we either repurpose on Yerg's Radio, or you do a live show like this and repurpose it into a podcast like this is. But still something for you to think about. Certainly put it up against, and maybe you doing that will finally help me get the homeless conservative on Yerg's Radio. I've been telling him to repurpose his, with Yerg's Radio, and
What
think
would you
about
call
a
it?
lot
Like
of kids.
ebony and ivory, shades of red.
If the two of you got together, politics in black and white.
Yeah, we'll see.
And that's actually a joke too. It was football, and there was a white referee or black referee.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two races was arguing with a coach, and another official comes up who's the opposite race.
Mm-hmm.
And the Trump, I just looked at one of my other screens. The coach ignores the referee, asks for a rule interpretation from the other official,
Mm-hmm.
and says, "What do you think?" And that official gave the exact same thing the referee just already gave him, even though it wouldn't matter because the referee is the boss.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the exact same thing. And the referee turns around to the coach and says, "Well, there you have it in black and white."
Literally and figuratively. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, think about who you don't want to see or don't expect to see on the cabinet, if anybody.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think you're going to win that one. And if you got nothing, you got nothing. If you're for everybody,
right.
no, that's fine. But then also think about if you've got the time and interest. If it's not something you're into, you just want to do this and that's it, and the occasional appearance on the Fridays, that's fine too. But I definitely think you would do well.
Definitely something for me to chew on for sure. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. Well, you'll do well. Be well. And I will see you in a week, if not sooner. And then I will see everybody else tomorrow. Same time, same station, whichever one you use. And yeah, I'll be solo for tomorrow. But still, we're 20 minutes over today. I think there'll be plenty to talk about. And with the countdown continuing, there'll definitely be plenty to talk about.
Monday.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for running with the big dogs up the middle. We will see you again tomorrow. Till then, we'll see Philip back with us next week. Oh, by the way, I have my mug. You should get yours by going to buyblacket.com/Yergs. We'll put that up as we head out. I actually meant to do that, but there's the books. You can scan that for any of his. What are you up to now? 6 books?
6 or 7.
Yeah, something like that. And then up there in the corner, you can go to buyblacket.com. What did I do? Oh, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to add your Amazon link to my Facebook page, to the list of affiliates for affiliate marketing that's on the Facebook page, so they can have, after the show, access to that as well. And then don't forget to check out, get your personalized message from me. Phew, be still your heart, huh? Get your personalized message from me from cameo.com, Yergs/Yergs, book Yergs, something like that. Just go to cameo.com and search for Yergs. I'm there. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow. What else we got? Somebody's. Oh, that's yeah. They put whenever you put a QR code on the screen, it puts it into the chat right away, which I think is actually kind of cool. All right, that's it. Time to get out of here. Time for lunch. Time to go check the news, make sure the world hasn't ended, and the countdown is continuing. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'll see you again tomorrow, and that's it. See you then. All right, Phil. Thanks, pal.
Thank you.
The average radio listener listens for 18 minutes. The average
Yergs
fan listens for, are you ready for this? An hour and 20 minutes.
How can that be?
Answer most commonly given, I want to see what he'll say next.
All right, okay, fine. But what about the people who hate Yergs?
Good point. The average hater listens for 2.5 hours a day.
Look, but if they hate him, why do they listen?
Most common.
You've changed. You know that?
Yes, I suppose I have. How about this? Peace, love, dope.